story is going to be in the hands of a real visionary artist. And visionary, I think, is a term nowadays. It's bandied about everywhere on the internet for a whole lot of people. But in this case, this storyteller is so special and so great. And just even the conversations that I've been hearing about that he's having with our local elected officials, like Ruben Diaz Jr., our borough president, also Cynthia Lopez and others from the city government, he's really going to get this right. And that is a special thing. So we're very honored to have Baz Luhrmann here as well today. And talking about artistic merit and that kind of ability, it's always special in city government when you get someone into city government that's not a bureaucrat, that isn't always thinking about things in a kind of plus and minus way. And in this case, we're talking about the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, also a true artist in her own right, winner of, I don't know, after 10 Emmys, I lose count, so I know there's a bunch of them. She was the creator and also built the architect of this POV series that many of you have seen, right, on PBS. So she is a brilliant producer and filmmaker, and also now the commissioner of the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, Cynthia Lopez.
Thank you, Joe, for all of your leadership in fostering what we consider to be the next generation of production talent that will help support New York's thriving media and entertainment industry. I have to say, when I was walking in this morning, I was thrilled because it takes creativity, it takes vision, and it does take strong leaders to come together to build a place like this. So thank you, Joe, for having that vision and that dedication. And thank you to the Borough President, Ruben, for assisting in making sure that the vision has the dollars it needs to be able to do what it has to do. I'm thrilled to be here today because this is where over 1,300 people have honed their storytelling craft, have learned about the latest production trends, and have participated in life-changing career advanced training. The Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment appreciates that Netflix and Baz Luhrmann have selected the Bronx as the place to engage the Bronx creative and production talent. These choices are so valuable for us because they're life-changing in the community. The cast and crew here are ready for business. Baz and I earlier today was able to see the cast and crew definitely in terms of what Digital Bodega is developing here. When strong creative partnerships are built, the ripple effects are seen in the local community. The Get Down production executives have committed to ensuring that the Bronx will authentically be featured in almost in every episode. What that means for us in terms of the community is that this multi-million-dollar project will spend money here as part of the local economy, and we're thrilled and welcome Baz and the entire production. So here to tell us more is someone who embodies what I believe to be the Bronx community spirit. He's helping to create thousands of jobs. He's building thousands of units of new housing, and he works harder than ever to change the perception of how people think about the Bronx. He's my friend, he's a visionary, and he is the Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to thank the Commissioner, Cynthia Lopez, for that wonderful introduction, but even more importantly, I want to thank you, Commissioner, for having an open ear and an open heart for the Bronx. Every time we called upon you, every time that we've tried to bring ideas to you about how is it that we can get more film, how we're working on things like a new studio in the Bronx. You know, you've always been there listening to us, trying to guide us as well as a borough. The fact is that in the city of New York, the film industry is booming. In the city of New York, is booming to the tune of billions of dollars a year. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, in the Bronx, we still have a long ways to go to get our fair share of what's going on as it pertains to film. But we finally have a commissioner who understands. So let's give Cynthia Lopez a strong round of applause. the film studio and the film industry, and you look at the opportunities that it offers and it has, how it's been transformative for certain parts of the city, one cannot deny that in order for you to want it in your borough, you have to be prepared. And that means with facilities, that means with institutions, and that means with the talent. And certainly here in Ghetto Film School with Mr. Hall, and all of the individuals who are the faculty members, and all of you who have walked through these walls and have learned the technology, have learned the intricacies of this of the film studio and production. Certainly you make us proud, and as a borough president, I've been instrumental in trying to get resume money for some of your equipment. And I know, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, I know that there's plans for the expansion of these facilities, and you should understand that I will continue to be a partner with you. I will continue to make sure that our public dollars are invested so that the Bronx can continue to be prepared, so that when the film industry comes here, we're going to take the world by storm. So for that, Mr. Hall, thank you, and thank all of the good folks. Let's give them a strong round of applause. So when you look at the Bronx, we've always said this, and those of us who are from here, we know that areas like here, like Port Morris, great things are happening. The economy is booming. Life isn't perfect, but we're headed in the right direction. In fact, if you get a chance, you should take a look at an article that Bloomberg Media put out this morning about us really coming back in a big way in myriad different areas. For me, one of the biggest challenges I said in the article is that there's still negative perceptions and the negative stereotypes that the world has, not just people outside, not just New York City, not just people outside of New York City or in the United States, but the entire planet, the negative stereotypes that they have of the Bronx. And a lot of that comes, if not the overwhelming majority of it, comes through media, unfortunately. So in '77, when there was a World Series, Howard Cosell said the Bronx is burning. That left an indelible mark on the minds of people to this very day. That was media. That was the World Series. That was a Goodyear blimp with the panoramic view. Unfortunately, media hasn't come back with a new panoramic view of what's happening in that Melrose section of the Bronx today. When you look at movies like Bonfire of the Vanities and Fort Apache the Bronx, that was media. And we've been competing against billions and billions of dollars of this perpetual pounding of negative stereotypes and negative images of the Bronx yesteryear. Again, life isn't perfect, but there's a new story to be told. There's a story to be told about where we are today, but at the same time, we cannot forget as to who we are and where we've been and where we're coming from. And when you look at the Bronx and the fact that salsa was honed right here in our borough, that we're the birthplace of doo-wop, people don't know that. And yes, we're the birthplace of hip-hop. And this is a genre of music that has taken over the planet, musically, but also when you look at corporate America, when you look at advertising, the industry of jewelry and accessories and clothing and sneakers, hip-hop has really changed the game. Hip-hop has been what I call not only a great way for young men and women in urban communities to get employment, but this is the one way, with all of its negatives and what people want to harp on, with all of the things that I hope that hip-hop still works on to get better, but this is the one way that a young black or Latino from the Bronx or Brooklyn has a connection with a white kid in the suburbs in the Midwest. Hip-hop has been that unifier. And it all started right here in the Boogie Down. Some people want to rewrite history, but no, this is the place where Africa Bambaataa in Bronx River Houses or Rosedale Park with Disco King Mario, that's where I'm from. This is where you have Melly Mel and you had Kool Herc in Cedar Park. Power from the streetlight made the place dark. But you're and no one has really told that story. So now we have not just anybody telling the story. We have a giant, right? We have somebody with credibility. We have somebody who has worked with the best of them in Hollywood. His portfolio, his profile, his body of work is second to none. From Moulin Rouge to Australia to The Great Gatsby. He's worked with Nicole Kidman to DiCaprio. And so here he is now with this great contract through Netflix to come in and is responsible for telling this story in a mythical way, but telling this story of who we are, not just with hip hop, but where the Bronx comes, with urban New York City, and how we've gotten to where we are today. And so I'm so proud because I know that with his talents, I'm so proud because I know with his crew and with his team, what is gonna come out of this is something that's gonna be comparable to the House of Cards. I think there's going to be comparable to even Empire that we've been seeing on ABC. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the person that's going to really put us on the map, Mr. Baz Luhrmann.
No, I have absolutely nothing to say, except I wonder whether President Ruben Diaz Jr. would mind doing all of the PR for the show for the rest of the because no one's ever going to sum up what we, with all our commitment and all our passion and all our resources that we can gather, no one's ever going to describe as accurately as the borough president has just then what we are setting out to achieve. If we could even come anywhere near what you've just said, I think we're doing something useful. I gotta say, because I had a few things to say, but then I forgot them all because, you know, you're a natural, right? I'm in for rapping, you know. And I've also seen pictures back in the day when he was pretty good with the moves, you know. So, you know, there'll be some guest appearances, but what really came into my mind when I was listening, and it really came into my mind, other than the fact that Cynthia probably doesn't know that she helped my career very early on, because I did an opera many, many years ago for, I think, like the lowest budget opera of all time, La Boheme. And it was video, and very kindly it was run on PBS. And so that got me going. So I have to thank you for that, even though you probably didn't know. But it reminded me of when I was setting out to do The Great Gatsby. I mean, New York City, as they say, is the crossroads of the world. You know, although I'm from, I like to say I'm from Switzerland, meaning I'm neutral. But really, I'm from Australia. But my family lives here. We live in New York City. We love New York City. I did The Great Gatsby from a love of New York City. I was going to shoot The Great Gatsby in New York City. We prepared it in New York City, and then we couldn't shoot it in New York City. There just simply, at that time, there was another large Hollywood production. There weren't enough spaces. The rebate became an issue. It became impossible to shoot. And I went back to Australia, and I think we did everyone valiantly pulled together and said, we're in the business of creating illusion. What can we do? But I always remember saying, next time I'm not going to let that happen. And the next time is this production. And it really was, and I have insisted with Netflix, that it is a story born of the Bronx, but it must be made. I mean, I've started even with a geological study of the Bronx. I don't know if that's going too far, but I guess you all realize it's really hilly over here. You know, the rest of the city is flat. I had no idea. So I say that not flippantly, because there's no point in doing the production that we're making unless it's actually grown from here and with the Bronx. Now, when Joe came down yesterday and took me through what's going on here at the school, first of all, I went like, as I'm sure many of you have said before, how come no one else thought of that? And then I thought, so let me get this right. Now you're exporting this idea to a place called Hollywood, the idea of a school dedicated to making film, and the passion it's taken over 10 years to realize this. More incredibly, and we just saw the results next door, and more sensibly, I think, is that yes, it's an educational institution, but it has a thing called the digital bodega, which means graduates are going straight to work. I have a job for you guys, and I'm not just saying it because, you know, it's nice to make the connection. You can do it. There's work we need to be done. And you've automatically been given the education, but also, I think the harsh reality of having to go out and have an idea, get it made, do it well enough so someone comes back to you and says, please do it again. And I think that's the really clever part of the vision. I mean, all of this, my officers aren't this nut, I can tell you. You know, this is impressive. But the fact that Joe's thought of the vision to actually immediately button on, you know, a commercial step for you where you have to go out, sink or swim, that to me is extremely impressive, and we, for one, will be certainly making use of it. There's no doubt our story will come from a time in which the Bronx was in the most difficult of times. Indeed, I think the President quoted that very famous quote, the Bronx is burning. But ours is an aspirational story. It's actually about the birth of creativity from this place. By the way, it's not just hip-hop, which which has pervaded the world. I was only reminded this morning, because, you know, I've got a few fashion friends. They're probably the two of the greatest the defining fashion gestures of America came from here. A chap called Ralph Lauren, had a slightly different name, and only a few streets away, a chap called Calvin Klein. And so many people don't even realize that. So the idea that this place, which once was the grandest borough in New York, right, had a moment when it was burning. And we will tell that burning story, but out of it will come aspiration. And you know what, in my opinion, the Bronx is on fire again, but in a completely different way. It's truly happening, and we are truly honoured to be out here and part of it, and in partnership with it. Best wishes for this, Joe. It's mind-blowing what you're doing here. Bravo, and thank you, President.
We can do a little Q&A. We'll start this way. Yeah.